All right. What's going on, guys? Ray York's back here with the Just Saying update show. Been a few days since I put out a show, so I want to welcome you in. We are live on YouTube and Periscope as usual. If you don't know, go follow us on YouTube. Follow my Twitter page at the Real Ray Yergs. Show some support. Follow, retweet, like, do all the good things that you do. Subscribe. Make sure you get any updates as new content's getting released. There'll be a lot of new content coming out soon. I've been having a lot of ideas, trying to put a lot of things together. I'm also going to be trying to put a more schedule base for a lot of these things for either this show, doing it a few days a week instead of trying of every day, which I had started a couple weeks ago. Content for the new segment I had tweeted out earlier this week, which was the soapbox, and just amongst a bunch of other things. So be on the lookout for that. All right. So we'll just get right into it. Gonna try and make it a quick show today. Just talk about a couple of talking points. I have a whole list of a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, but so many things, trying to keep it short, not keep it long. So we'll get right into it. And the first thing I want to talk about is it's more of a PSA announcement. PSA, the importance of voting. There's a lot of things that, as many people know, going on in this country right now, and voting couldn't be more important than it is right now at this very moment in time. If most of you are aware that the boycotts for a lot of the sports happened this week, in regards to a lot of more shootings. I don't want to get too in depth on those things, but within those boycotts, there was some information that had been found. If anybody was aware, the Colts organization, Jacoby Brissett, set up a team meeting and got everybody on the team, coaches, players who weren't registered to vote, to register to vote. And that's very important. But that just goes to show you of how many people aren't registered to vote, or actually who don't go out and vote. Clay Travis had reported earlier in the week that that only 20% of the NBA players were registered to vote. That's a very, very low number. I don't really have any other sources other than Clay talking about it. He also mentioned that Kaepernick has never voted either. But 20% of NBA players, if that's true, are not registered to vote. That is extremely disappointing, especially when you're people who talk about political views in the NBA, who are trying to make a stance. Now, and I tweeted back, and I'm going to say this on here. If you do not go out and vote, if you are not registered to vote, and you try to have a conversation with me on anything political, stop. You're wasting your time. Keep going. I am not going to listen to anybody who has a political view if they do not go out and vote, or if they've never voted, or if they're not even registered to vote. You have no valuable opinion that you can possibly bring, because all you can do is talk about it, but you don't actually go and do anything about it. So that's why it's very important to go and vote and support, either whether it be on the presidential line, mayors, governors, senators, representatives, policies, whatever. Educate yourself, go and vote. Now, aside from that, all these people that aren't registered to vote, it's great that they go out and get registered to vote, and it is great that you're going to go make a stance to go out and vote. But at the same time, you need to educate yourself as to what you're actually voting for, with whichever party you're standing for, whether it's the right, the left, whatever it is. You need to educate yourself also at the same time to make sure that you're supporting the things that you need to support. And whether it be policies, people, or whatever. Don't just register to vote to go vote for a party that you may be misled on, okay? Whichever party that may be. So it's great, but educate yourself and go vote. Make sure you're doing the right things and you're voting for the right people, not just the wrong people just because you don't agree with somebody's stances. There's always going to be that thing where you don't agree with people's political stance or whatever, but make sure that you're voting for the right things and the right reasons and not just doing it to do it. Okay? Go out and vote. It's very, very important on multiple levels, from your local community all the way up to the top. So go and vote. It's very important. Okay? Aside from that, we're just going to move right on from the PSA. We'll just get right back into some of the sports things. Some news earlier this morning. Excuse me. Red Sox traded Mitchie Moreland. Mitch Moreland's been a great acquisition for the Red Sox since he signed on back in 2017. He was part of the 2018 World Series team. Disappointed to see him go. He's a great leader in the clubhouse. He's a great first baseman. Can really hit the ball. Has a lot of power. But as I had stated in some of my other shows recently, talking about the Red Sox, the Red Sox ain't going anywhere this year. So making a trade for a good veteran player who's having a solid year. He's been 328, 8 home runs, 21 RBIs, very solid performance this year. So in return, they get a couple of prospects. They get 2 prospects that they need desperately in the farm system since their farm system has been depleted. And I mentioned that on one of my other shows within the last couple of weeks ago or last week. I forget what episode it was. And I talked about how the Red Sox, there's no point. I mean, they're 10 and 11 and 22 or something like that. They're having a terrible season. There's no need for them to try and win anything. Try and get in the top 5 pick. Secure yourself into those early draft positions so that way you can rebuild your farm system that has been depleted to get a lot of the players that they have on their team. Okay. So Mitchie going, it is sad, but it's good at the same time because it puts him in a good environment for a team that is in position to try and make a playoff run, being the Padres. I'm not sure how he is going to fit into the Padres organization. I mean, they have Hosmer at first base and Mitch Moreland is a first baseman. But it gives them the Padres, it gives them extra depth in the lineup. Someone who can hit for power in an already stacked lineup, which is great for them. And but it gives them that veteran presence on that team and in the clubhouse that they don't really have because they have a lot of young players on that team with Tatis, Machado. Hosmer is a great veteran. He has playoff experience. He has a World Series ring. So Mitch, playoff experience, World Series. So that gives them, him and Hosmer are going to be great leaders in that clubhouse for the Padres this year, especially with their trying to make a championship run. So it's good for them. It's good for both sides. Red Sox get some much needed farm depth. One of the prospects that they did get back was a 17th ranked prospect, I believe. So that's good for them. He was an infielder. I don't have the name off the top of my head right at the moment, but it helps them. They get an infielder and an outfielder and prospects. So Red Sox trying to they've been trying the last couple of weeks. If anybody's noticed that they are getting some younger talent, they've picked up some people off of waivers. The trade deadline is tomorrow for MLB. I wouldn't, and the Red Sox got back. They had to trade with the Phillies. They traded some bullpen help to get some prospects back. So that was good too. So I don't anticipate the Red Sox being done. I would expect them to make another trade or two with some of their other veteran players that they could be on the move to get back some younger talent that's going to help them into next season. So it's all good news for the Red Sox. Sad to see Mitchie go, but It's the right move. It's a great move for both sides. So we'll see how the rest plays out. See if the Red Sox make any more trades. It would be good if they did. They definitely now. It's good that they're getting some young prospects in regards to field positions, but they need to address the pitching. So hopefully they do that. But there's always the offseason to sign players as well. So kudos to both sides. Equals out for both sides right there. Red Sox always been dealing with the Padres anyway. They like trading with the Padres. They made a lot of trades with the Padres over recent years. So, moving down. Wild race last night at Daytona. If anybody is a NASCAR fan and anybody was watching, tremendous race towards the end, especially not so much the beginning. A lot of it's just was vying for position. But when you get to the end of those stages to get those stage points, you got points for anybody who's in the top 10. So it was a little bumpy at the end for each stage also, but last like 20 laps or so are obviously they're always the most exciting. But Jimmy Johnson, I was rooting for him to get in the playoffs. He was on the bubble. He was one of 3 drivers who was basically on the bubble with DiBenedetto and Boyer, who had secured a spot in also, and Byron. Those 4 guys, but mainly the 3 guys, Byron, DiBenedetto, and Jimmy Johnson, were really pulling for the last couple positions. And it's too bad for Jimmy Johnson. He got caught up in the last wreck going down the stretch there with a couple of laps to go. That was a really heartbreaker for him. He just got caught up. He was on the high side, and he ended up getting hit in by Stenhouse. The big one finally happened. There was a lot of bumping and grinding going on. There was a lot of moving pieces, 3 wide, changing lanes, drafting, a lot of bumps, a lot of swerves. They held control for a while, but Bubba, it was crazy. You love seeing that kind of stuff going down in Daytona with the restricted plate races for sure. But Jimmy Johnson's playoffs hopes come to an end. Not so sure how much he would have performed in the playoffs, but I mean, the team only really hurt himself, in my opinion. They finished second in Charlotte, one race earlier this year, as soon as they came back from COVID. But he failed inspection after the race and got put in the last place position actually, and was disqualified and got no points on that race. So that hurts. And he had tested positive for COVID, and he didn't race, so he gets no points that race. So those 2 races, as they mentioned in the broadcast too, those 2 races with 0 points really hurt them. They would have been in surely, but he was fighting. He had a great car last night. He was very fast. He was in the top 10 most of the night, but when you get into the big one at Daytona and you fall short, that just happens. It was unfortunate. But Byron gets the secured victory as he pulls away with the last couple of laps. So he got the victory and he gets put into the playoff position. Johnson ended up falling 8 points short behind DiBenedetto. After the wreck, he even got onto the racetrack in a beat up shit car. If you go look at it, go see it. He just needed to put it in, get the laps, not fall behind, in hopes that going into that restart, there could have been an accident. And there was an accident, but DiBenedetto stood back, stayed in his position. Good for his team telling him, listen, sit back, stay in this position. We're into the playoffs. You were ahead of Jimmy Johnson. Just don't fall back into the crash and get taken out of the race where he ends up falling short. So good for him. It's going to be exciting 10 races now going down to the championship in Homestead. It's going to be really exciting. So we'll see who that is. Not really sure who's going to put a challenge up to Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick, as they've been the top 2 guys all year. They've put up a lot of wins. They put up a lot of points. It's going to be tough to beat those 2 guys, but anything can happen. and we'll see what happens. It's going to be exciting 10 races if you're a NASCAR fan for sure. Couple other things to talk about. We got FCS return last night with Austin P and Central Arkansas. Listen, I've never watched many FCS games, but it was good to have football back last night. Boy, did that feel good. If anybody watched it, Central Arkansas got the victory 24-17. And it was a much better second half than it was the first half. First half was just, I think it was 10-6 at halftime. Austin P was up. But the better team ended up prevailing, as many people probably know who are much more inclined to talk about it than I am. I guess there was a lot of key players that were missing for Austin P. But Central Arkansas gets it done. They had fans in the stands, which was great to see. Football was back. It just gives you a little preview as what is going to happen in the next couple of weeks, where a week from Thursday, NFL returns. A couple weeks after, we got more college football returning. So it just felt good to see football being back on the field, regardless of who was playing. So kudos to those teams who are getting out there and who are playing. It's tremendous. We all, the majority of this country loves football, and it just felt good last night to see some real football being played. So great for them. Great for the teams that are coming up and playing also. Kudos to all of them, and shame on the losers who continue to sit the season out. Very disappointing on those teams. I'll save that for another episode because I have some notes about, especially in the Big Ten, to talk about. But felt good last night, no matter who was playing. Loved it. Love every minute of the football. So felt great watching that. Got some other things to talk about, but going to save that for another show. But I just wanted to touch base, come on, talk about a lot of things. But I will leave off. Usually I leave the show with random topics. I do some research on some random stuff and talk about some random things. But today I'm going to do a feel-good story today. Okay? Going to do a feel-good story today. And if it went viral, if most of you know about this, there was a gentleman who shared his videos from his security system, talking about how he always would get motion alerts in the driveway. And the motion alerts were of this family who would be walking their dog, and their son who was riding their bike, given the fact of his, he has a big driveway, would always ride up the driveway and ride right down on his little balance bike there, which is pretty cool. And the owner of the house said, you know what? He went out there one night and he built with chalk. Chuck wrote a big racetrack on the driveway, which was awesome. So you see the video the next day after he did it that night. The family was walking by, and the little boy was confused, didn't know what to do. He was standing there, seeing a racetrack on the driveway that he tends to ride in all the time. And the parents were like, "Hey, it looks like hey, here's the start, there's the finish." He goes, "Go and follow the racetrack." So that was awesome. The kid would have some fun with the racetrack. The gentleman then spends more time in changing the racetrack for him on different I don't think it was a daily basis, but every couple of days he would wash it off and would put a different racetrack on it. And the kid was just happy about it. And then the gentleman posted later about, he goes, I don't know who's having more fun here, the kid riding on the racetrack or the gentleman who was creating the racetracks for him. So I thought that was awesome. That's definitely it goes to show you there is a lot of good kindness in this world. There's a lot of good people in this world, aside from all the negative things that have been happening in this country for months now, and daily. If you can find that one good feel good story that makes you feel good and it gives you some laughter, there's some hope in this country for sure. Um, um, Kindness like that goes a long way. That gentleman's making that kid's day. Believe it or not, coming from somebody who has 2 kids themselves, those little things really make the happiness for kids like that. Puts a big smile on their faces, and it puts a big smile on um, the person of that owns the house face, and it actually puts a big smile on the parents' face as well. It goes to show you that kindness um, prevails a lot of things. So I wanted to send that off with a feel good story because I thought it was incredible. I thought it was really cool to see someone to do that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that do a lot of good things like that, and they're just not talked about or brought up enough because this country tends to focus on a lot of the negative things and not so much the positive things. So I want to leave off like that. If you have time, go find a feel good story for yourself too. They're out there. Go find a feel good story. Read about it, laugh about it, smile about it, and share it. Okay. So we're gonna leave off with that. Go and do that. If you do anything today, go put a smile on your face by watching something like this. It's incredible to see, and we need more of that in this country. So I'm Ray Yergs. I'm gonna head out of here today. Enjoy your Sunday. It's great up here in New England. So enjoy your day. And do kindness. Go do something kind today. Make somebody feel good because it'll go a long way. Take it easy, guys.